So I want to talk about mental health and relationships because it is something that is real. It's important we discuss. It's important that we're open, whether in dating relationships or marriage. So joining me now is Jim O'Day, the executive director of Integrity Restored, who helps people struggling with pornography addiction, which we'll touch on that more in a little bit. But I want to talk big picture, Jim, about this challenge today that so many couples are facing prior to marriage, before even thinking about marriage, or even years into marriage surrounding mental health.
Mm. Yeah, it seems to be a bigger problem than we've ever seen before. Um, there's interesting, you talked about the people like obsessing with this story and following every bit. That hasn't been me. I've
Ditto.
followed the story a little bit here and there, but the one thing I came away with that I thought was very interesting, Timmerie, was this appeared to be a volatile relationship. The police were with them in Utah. They got reported that there's the domestic incident outside a white van, a man hitting a woman, and the cops showed up, and Gabby was really, very, very upset and crying and inconsolable. And she kept saying, well, I lose my temper because of my OCD. That's what she kept telling the police. And the witness said, no, he didn't hit her. He pushed her. She was hitting him. And so it seems to me to be a very volatile relationship. And I think one of the things we have to understand is that God built us as social creatures. We want to live in this cohesion, community, relationship with others. And when it's healthy, there's great benefits to that. Your psychological health, your emotional health, lower instances of depression and anxiety, more motivation and emotional support during tough times, less loneliness. These are all scientific statistics that we can prove in good relationships. But in volatile relationships, the opposite is true.
Yeah, isn't that important to recognize? Because, you even may not be struggling with physical abuse in your relationship, but there might be volatile anger issues where just you become really heated, and that to go on and build for weeks, months, years, and it becomes a point where it's a bigger issue for the relationship. It's a bigger issue for how this is impacting kids, your spouse. I even think, Jim, about this last, year we've had a baby. We've lived in the midst of kind of the insanity of the world surrounding COVID. And then, we moved unexpectedly. My husband got a job offer right after our baby was born. And there were a lot of challenging moments surrounding the move, and then moving to a place where, I knew next to no one. And that was really hard. And I think that there were a lot of moments where I had to recognize the importance of having good, strong conversations about where I was at as I was struggling. And for some reason, though, our culture, we don't know how to talk about things. And when we do, we don't know how to get to the crux of the problem or to move beyond it. We tend to just dwell in the issue itself. And I think that that's part of what's sad about the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie story is that here, cops end up, addressing a situation where the two of them are reported. How is the situation resolved? This has to be so difficult for police in domestic abuse cases where there's some sort of violence or abuse occurring in the relationship, because they know that this isn't just a one-time deal usually. They know, I can either pick up this young couple, and it sounds like they decide to be merciful to this young couple, really kind of try to punish them in a sense to kind of knock them straight, or you can not and try to leave their record clean. And it makes for really complicated situations. So I guess part of the question is, you work a lot with people in everything from pornography addiction, physical harm occurring, and abuse within relationships. Where's the middle ground for us people who maybe aren't at the point of physical abuse, but there's a struggle surrounding mental health in the relationship?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have to do is be honest, right? with ourselves, with our families, with our circle of influence. And we have to recognize that there could be potential deal breakers in the relationship, Timmerie. And my guess is, with this Gabby Petito story and with the cops showing up, what the cops did, I thought made sense. Nobody had any marks on them. They made laundry go and stay in a hotel. She decided to stay in the van. So they separated them for the night, kind of a cooling down period. But my gut instinct tells me this is not the first time.
Right.
Out of the blue like that, right? They've been dating since high school. So what were the signs of this volatility from either one? I don't know who was struggling more. But, there might be deal breakers where you really shouldn't stay in a relationship. I'm thinking of things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, addictions. Don't think marrying somebody, you're going to cure them of their addiction, whether that's drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling. You're not. Narcissistic personality disorder. These things are all, we really should look at them and say, this is not an equally yoked relationship. This is not a healthy relationship. And don't continue down that path. My heart breaks that this young lady is no longer with us, and I feel so bad for her parents. But I just question, how long has this been going on?